Welcome, welcome to the bounce off. I'm so excited to be here with my beautiful co-host, Vanita.
Are you saying beautiful because I look Canadian as fuck today? Is that why?
I really do like a full denim look or like this plaid that you're doing.
Buffalo plaid, baby. It's the holiday season, P. Get into it.
All of the Canadian fashion influencers are like one way to for sure look chic all the time, and it's double denim without fail.
Listen, don't knock it till you've tried it, God damn it.
Okay, I should try it. I have kind of a follow-up factoid to something we discussed last time because your obsession was Mariah and you were talking about how much money she makes seasonally on that
Yeah,
song.
yes.
I learned how much money Carrie Underwood makes for singing the NBC Sunday Night Football little Joan Jett cover thing.
Wait, does she make money like every Sunday when they use it?
She makes $1 million every Sunday. And so what? It's like 18 weeks is a season.
Dude, what a smart business manager. Or maybe maybe I can give her credit. Instead of just getting the front load one time payment
Yeah,
check,
right.
they're like, give it
Because
to.
she's not performing it every time. It's a recording that was done once. Maybe they do a new one each season because I she does like different outfits every season, but that's a,
Holy shit. Talk about working smarter and not harder.
yeah. You
Props.
just could like sit back and like never do anything again on your Sunday night football jingle money.
Now, does that mean, I don't know if your factoid went this specific, but is it just they're only allowed to play it once every Sunday? Is there, what if they
It's
were,
like throughout the whole game, like they every commercial break, it's like Sunday night football, you know,
oh,
on
I want you.
NBC.
Wait, can I get your version? You just sounded like that band they had in Saved by the Bell. You sounded like you were
Oh,
singing
Zack
with Lisa.
Attack. Wait, but you know what was sad to me when I first started watching football regularly in like 2011, because that's when Dad and I started dating. It was Faith Hill at the time. And I love Faith Hill, so I was obsessed with that. And then in like 2012, it changed over to Carrie Underwood. And from what I've read, people think that Carrie's a much better fit, and there was some like bafflement around Faith Hill, and maybe even some hypothesizing that she was only there to get the people like me to be like, oh, cool, maybe I can come and watch this and be a fan of this because Faith Hill's doing this song.
Oh,
And that totally worked on me.
I can confirm Faith Hill was not the reason why I got into it. However, she was A, where the hell is she nowadays? I'm sure she's trying to do something in the music biz, but B, she was like the hot thing, man. Like
Yeah, yeah.
everything she was singing would top the charts.
I know, but not in like 2011. I remember thinking that it made a lot of sense that it was Faith Hill because she has been such a steady presence in country music and she's such a solid performer and she's married to Tim McGraw. So I was like, oh yeah, this totally tracks for me. But then I was surprised to read that like a lot of football fans are like, why Faith Hill? She doesn't really represent this to us, and Carrie Underwood is a much better representation of that. And so I was like, oh, interesting. So all of her like this kiss love songs I guess didn't appeal to like your
It's
mainstream football fan.
centrifugal. Like if you can throw that in
It's
a song,
centrifugal motion. It's perpetual bliss. It's that pivotal moment. It's really hard to sing because of all of those like
a good
P
one.
words.
That's actually a good point. But wow, talking about growing my vocabulary. So I'll tell
Yeah.
you how I know the most around this discussion with Carrie Underwood and Faith Hill was when the NFL made the decision to partner with Jay-Z and I think Rockefeller maybe together
Right.
for Super Bowl halftime shows because people pointed to, yeah, but the NFL loves a blonde white woman for music. So what are y'all going to do to pulling in a younger demographic into the show as fans of football? And I remember the two of them being used as sort of the target for let's react against this.
Yeah.
Now when we think about how to craft a halftime show, and I mean it has been very different since Jay-Z
Yeah,
started.
they've been so good.
They've been so fucking good. God
Which
damn,
one
that
was his
Dre
first?
one.
His first one was what, The Weekend?
Oh, was that the first one? That was actually a weird
That one I
one.
really liked. No, I really liked it.
You
I know
would.
people thought it was weird, but I
You
really
would. Were you on fucking MDMA watching it? Like I just felt like I was too sober to be enjoying it.
I liked it.
And this one, I mean, Kendrick Lamar,
Such a crazy choice. I can't wait to talk to your boy about this because I imagine there's going to be some feelings.
I actually love Kendrick Lamar. I love his jams. I just don't think about him as a performer, like halftime show
Halftime show.
production.
Yeah.
Give me the like, the Michael Jackson, the Beyonce, the Jennifer Lopez. I don't even love Jennifer Lopez's voice, but I know she can put
No,
on a good fucking
that one
show.
was like one of my favorites was her and Shakira in Miami. Like perfect.
That like gave me inspiration for aging. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
like women can't age and look so fucking hot.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, facelifts are available to some of us.
and so many things that I learn about every single month about a new procedure being offered. Anyway,
Yeah. Yeah,
um,
I mean, and Kendrick was like a piece of that Dre one. Like a short little segment in that bigger, which was, arguably one of the best ones ever. It was, I think, so universally loved that performance.
yeah, but do you think like is it because of his beef with Drake that he had this year? Like, is that what they're trying
Wait,
to ride?
did they choose him after all of that happened? Because he is having a pretty
Oh,
big year because of that, but I didn't know if that choice had been made because of that or off the momentum of that.
I want to say it was after that because he actually hasn't had like his big new song actually just got nominated for a Grammy, Not Like Us.
Yeah, I know.
It's like a diss
And
track
like,
to Drake.
and do you know that all of the Dodger like World Series we won t-shirts say they not like us?
I did not know that.
Yeah,
I mean, it's just like become like what an LA anthem all of a
I
sudden.
guess so. I'm into it.
So
Yeah.
I mean, the big controversy was people felt like Lil Wayne should have been chosen to be the halftime performer because it's going to be in New Orleans this year, and he's sort of like the
Okay.
hometown performer. I don't know. Some people came out in support, and there are other people, unspecified sources who said like Lil Wayne just hasn't been a reliable professional in
Okay.
the last few
Also,
years.
is Lil Wayne a Trumper? Did we find this out? Or am I confusing him with someone else?
Oh, I didn't even know that was like a rumor, a thing.
I think that it might be him.
Do you think that's maybe why he
I mean, I don't know.
wasn't?
The NFL loved Trump, I thought.
Oh, yep, he once endorsed Donald Trump.
Yeah. I mean, now that everything is different in our reality, I feel like Lil Wayne would have been a fine choice.
Wait, speaking of women aging gracefully, a la Jennifer Lopez and Shakira, that really has actually been my theme this week. Is I have been so inspired by women who are 40. Spoiler alert, I am 40.
Me
One big
too.
you too. I didn't want to say it. I don't want to
I
say it.
mean, I've been telling everyone as of like 3 months ago. I'm 40,
Just
bitches.
tell everyone. Fuck it. We've been talking a lot about the athletes who are retiring. One athlete who is Canada's best soccer player of all time. I briefly mentioned her when we talked to Ash Sweat is Christine Sinclair.
Mm-hmm.
She's 41, and just this past week, she like walked off the pitch, and that was the last time we were gonna see her. And P, to know that she was playing competitive soccer until 41 honestly truly inspires me in so many
Yeah.
ways. Just to I know that already challenges so many beliefs of what we have culturally of women and when they are, I don't know, when they're still viable and youthful and So one of the reasons why, not just I love her because she's Canadian, but also she has scored 190 international goals, which is the highest goal total for both men and women in international soccer competition. So she's very humble about it. You're not going to see her do a bunch of press. You're not going to see her doing a perfume commercial, doing it like it's just she's actually so Canadian in that way. Like, let me just hang out in my corner of the world and let's just we don't want like the pomp and circumstance, and that is so her style. Sometimes almost too private, but that being said, she retired and I was like, great. 41 sounds good. That's a good age to retire. Just kidding. Lindsay Vonn is now coming out of retirement. She's 40, P.
Oh my
And she
God.
retired 5 years ago. And in true 40-year-old style, she got a new knee this year.
Okay. She
Yeah,
had like a knee replacement.
she did. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. Because she's had something like 9 or 10 surgeries, has had some gnarly injuries. Anyway, so she retires 5 years ago, and everyone's like, great, makes sense. Your body's shutting down. No, dude, she gets this new knee, I guess, earlier this year, and it's fucking working for her. So just like that, she's like wanting to get back into competitive skiing.
oh my, dude, skiing is murder on the knees, especially what she does, like slaloms and stuff. And like everyone I know who's usually like an elderly man who's had a knee replacement is so all about it. Like it seems like such a life-changing thing. I want to get both of my knees replaced. Like it's just
Wait,
why
you already
live
know that?
I've had bad knees since I was like 10 or 11. So I've never not had knee pain. And so hearing some of these people talk about how like life-changing it is to have a knee replacement, I'm like, why don't I just do that? And so now knowing that Lindsay Vonn is becoming an Olympian again post knee replacement, like I am here for it.
First of all, I'm sorry to hear about your knees. I didn't know this, and I
Yeah,
really made
I
that
have
knee joke.
hypermobile joints, I think, and it's a problem in general.
Murder
Yeah.
on the knees is how you describe.
Yeah.
That should be like a title in one of your chapters of your
It's
autobiography. It
like
sounds
murder on the beat. Murder on the knees.
they're gonna play that when we're like in nursing homes when we're
Yeah.
older.
Yeah.
But okay, so two things. One is, do you know the Sun, that fucking UK tabloid?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So they're I was looking this up and reading about it earlier today, and their headline was literally Tiger Woods' ex-girlfriend
I
and blah blah. And I'm like,
I was so wondering
motherfuck.
who was going to be the first one to do that. I thought it was going to be the New York Post, honestly.
I mean, they probably did some bullshit like that too, but it's like, whoa, she was Lindsay Vonn
Yeah.
before even being with
Also,
Tiger Woods.
didn't wasn't their relationship kind of just a blip, like, or was it like a long-term serious thing?
I never got the sense it was long-term serious. I do remember that I think this is a true story. He like sent a private jet to her when she got injured on a mountain, like after a competition, and to like he just like
What?
and I think that's how people found out that they were
Oh.
a thing. So I don't to me in my little world, that means you're fucking serious when someone sends you a
Yeah.
private jet. But I think in like Lindsey Vonn, Tiger Woods world, I
It's
don't
like
it's
whatevs.
a blip. It's like whatever. I already own a fucking 10 around the country. But it reminded me like part of I think of when they were together, they both had some serious injuries and they were like
Yeah.
rehabbing together and working out together.
Oh. Oh, that's cool. Like they found something in that in each other.
Yeah.
Because
And
that must have been just hard, especially for him. Like he just it, like pushes that perfectionism narrative so much.
okay, so here's my thing about Lindsey Vonn. For some reason, she has a group of haters. I don't know why. I adore her. And I'll tell you why. Back in 2012, it was clear that she's fast as fuck down a mountain. And she argued to the International Ski Federation that she should be allowed to race against men because she's just that fast. So she put in a formal request in 2012. They rejected it and said, nope, you are not allowed to race against men. So what does she do? Weeks later, she goes to Lake Louise, Alberta, beautiful place close to my hometown. And she skis at, I think, a rate of, okay, it's 136 kilometers an hour. So miles per hour, it's about 85 miles per hour
Whoa.
in a downhill training run in Lake Louise. And apparently that was like unmatched by any male skiers at that event. And so there were a lot of people who were like, you probably should let her race against
Just let
men.
her do it.
Let her fucking do it. And now I wonder, you know how in sports now there's a lot of
Oh, keep
like
men out of keep boys out of girls' sport. I was just like, how did this become such an issue that people like put it on their like voting reasons? Like this doesn't happen.
and also wouldn't you just want to see it go down? Like it's
Yeah.
just
Also, it doesn't matter if somebody it whatever, whatever. But like Lindsay Vonn is not trans. She's just a straight up woman who wants to compete against men. And I would love to see these same people take issue with that and call it unfair because it's so hypocritical.
so, you know, I if I was really motivated, which I probably should at some point, I want to read what was in the rejection
Mm,
letter from the International Ski Federation. I'm sure that, like they always say, it's gonna, you know, it's gonna open up a whole can of worms and blah blah blah. But even then, okay, I get it. So maybe not in competitive play, but now what sports are doing for ratings boosting, for extra money, really, for advertisers and sponsors, they do a lot of these like fun matches. You see it in golf,
yeah,
you're starting
yeah.
to see, you know, in a lot of other sports. And I thought, like, why couldn't skiing do that then?
Oh, that's interesting. Rather than putting her in their category, it's just like an event, like on
Separate thing,
Netflix. Yeah,
exactly. And like
yeah,
have Red Bull fucking sponsor it
yeah, yeah.
and and just have it go down. And I'm wondering if maybe some male skiers wouldn't sign up
They
for
don't
like
want it.
I wonder if maybe they actually attempted that and they were like, oh fuck, I don't want to be put to shame by Lindsey
Yeah,
Vonn.
but who would be mad about that, right? Like you would, yes, you would have to be very secure in your manhood, but like
Ding
I just
ding
feel
ding,
like
Pete. You just said it.
but it's just like she's gonna beat all of them, right? Like so it's not, yeah, I mean it's just gonna be like a cool event that people will see and it's not like they're I don't who are people still like, "Oh, you got beat by a girl." You know? Like are
Yeah,
people still like
do
that?
I don't know. Like, yeah, do kids still say like you throw like a
Well,
girl?
kids probably do, but do professional athletes do it?
I mean, based off of what you said last week around Jason Kelsey and his use of the F
Right,
word, I would
right.
not be surprised if that shit still goes down and it's a challenge to masculinity. And so, fuck
Oh,
this.
God. What do you think it takes to be a fat, like, why is she so fast?
From what I know about the human body, um, I really think honestly, it's not just about the reason why she's such a big deal is because she has like 80 something World Cup wins. Meaning she's not just big in like downhill skiing, she also does slalom and what's this? Is it called Super G? Whatever, the other one. Like
Yeah.
there's a ton of different ones. And so I think that's why she sticks out is not just being someone who's so fast, but she's also able to like her knees took a beating and she's able to, I don't know, like control that speed, which I think is one of the hardest parts about it. I don't know what it
Mm.
takes, honestly. Sure, I've skied a few times in my life, but like I'm not trying to
Eh,
jump, I'm not trying to
well,
catch
that's what,
air.
like, I wonder if maybe a lot of what she's bringing to her success is like a fearlessness, right? Because to do all of those sports and to be kind of unfettered in your ability to have that much speed, you probably have to be really like trust yourself and not be afraid of dying.
No, I think you're right. Like I don't know if you ever see like at the start of some of these runs, you can't see past
Yeah.
like a meter in front of you. It's just a
Yeah.
drop.
Straight down. Yeah.
That is terrifying to me, especially when I see them do events in the dark
Oh God.
and they just have, well, I mean, they have the spotlights and shit, obviously, but
Yeah.
still, why are you doing that shit at nighttime, bro? That shit is scary during the day. Like, it
Yeah.
blows my mind. So I do think there absolutely is a level of courageousness and honestly risk taking
Yeah. Yeah.
to be that great at it. But I truly have loved her ever since she tried to challenge this idea of listen, I'm really fucking good and I want to compete against the best. Please let me compete against everyone. And they say no. Okay. But I can't think of any other athlete who has come out of retirement at 40 to potentially be competitive again. Like that shit is so incredible.
I think Tom Brady did it. But it didn't work for him, as we've been saying.
You know what's so fucking weird? I felt like my hate for Tom Brady when he was an active NFL player was I was in the minority. Like people just really fucking loved him. But
Wait, what?
yes,
I
I
thought
mean
like only Bostonians loved him.
I think people, I mean Bostonians and I don't have a lot in common in general, but I of course like everyone in Massachusetts love him, but I know a lot of people fucking love Tom Brady, P. Like truly, a lot of people
Oh.
love him. I mean, he's fun to hate. Of course, he's fun to hate. I just always felt like I was in the minority of whenever I voiced my disdain for him.
What was your disdain about in those early years?
His chiseled looks.
Yeah. Yeah. He's too like
He's too
pretty.
pretty to be this
Yeah.
great. Like, fuck you, dude. And he
Yeah.
took every team that I would ever cheer for down. Like, that's really what it
Yeah,
was.
yeah. Well, that's why he lost a lot of fans because any fan of any of those teams are like, fuck Tom Brady. But they all also were like, yeah, he's good though.
Do you know that's how Berto and I met as a couple? Our very first meeting was because of my
What?
hate for Tom Brady.
What?
I'm at a it's like NFL Sunday barbecue at a friend's house. I'm fucking loaded, and Tom Brady's on the TV. I'm cheering for I think it's probably San Diego Chargers, and I'm like, "Fuck you, Tom Brady! I'm gonna piss on your face." And I was like, "Okay, let me just give some context real quick."
Piss
There,
on your
there was a
face.
cardboard cutout of Tom Brady that we'd have in the house, and like you could talk shit to it and do things to
Who
his
is
cardboard
we?
cutout.
What do you mean?
There was like a crew. We had like a crew on Sundays who would watch football games and we'd
Who was
barbecue.
the owner? Who kept Tom Brady all the time?
It was Charlie Jackson. Rest in peace, Charlie Jackson.
Oh,
It was our mutual friend who actually is the reason why we met. And
oh,
he had the cardboard cutout, and people would throw shit at this Tom Brady during the game. Like it was a real
oh my
target for
God.
anger. So he has this cardboard cutout at the top of these stairs, and I'm like, "Fuck you! I'm gonna like piss on your face." And I'm pretty sure I'm like mimicking that I'm doing it.
I
And
believe that
and up at the
wholeheartedly.
top of the stairs comes Berto. We've never fucking met before, and he introduces himself. He's like, "Oh hey," it's like I'm like angry at this cardboard cutout, and that is our very romantic story of how we met.
He was like, immediately, that is the woman that I'm gonna marry.
This chick is in some freaky play. Let's get into it. And yeah, but anyway, all that to
Oh,
say, I feel
okay.
like now that Tom Brady's in the broadcasting game, I feel like I'm in the majority now of this hate for Tom Brady. I feel like it's kind of the thing now.
I think it was before I think it was when he moved, first of all, when he moved to Tampa Bay. I think that was a big thing. I also think the retirement and the return from retirement was a big thing, very
Yeah.
bad for him.
Yes.
And then, yeah, and then I feel like a lot of people took joy in the Giselle divorce because by the time he got roasted earlier this year, that was this year, right?
That was this year.
Dude, I don't even know.
I
But by the
know.
time he'd gotten roasted, I feel like the world was ready to, like, the only people who were cheering for Tom Brady during that roast were like in that theater.
Right.
Everyone else was
And like
like,
on that stage on his side.
wait, you know what's really weird though? So, like, Giants fans hate Tom Brady, but they have something over him, which is very satisfying. But, like, also, like, Eagles fans hate him. And I had, like, no fewer than two different Eagles fans friends tell me, I don't want to watch that roast. I hate Tom Brady. And I'm like, yeah, yeah, do you not
You don't
understand
understand the
what the
concept.
roast is about?
That's you know what you mentioned New York Giants. Do you know I started off the NFL as I was a huge Giants fan.
Because of Eli Manning?
That's not why, but I still
Okay.
loved him. I still really liked
Okay.
him. And of course, like everyone in the 90s, like the Cowboys and whatever. But in up in Edmonton, we would get only certain like broadcast feeds
Oh,
for
yeah,
NFL
yeah.
games.
Mm-hmm.
And usually the rule of thumb was like if the city was close to a border, like we're probably gonna to the border, we're probably gonna get that game. So I got a lot of Seattle games, obviously, and I also got a lot of New York Giants games. And so I just would watch a lot of New York Giants games. And then Tiki Barber joined, and I was like, oh, this man is fine. And
I love him. And even like Strahan was on the Giants back then too, and he
yeah.
was just nice to look at. And there were like a lot of really cute tight ends and wide receivers that were on the Giants when I started watching. They just like started with Victor Cruz, and he was
Uh,
a big deal that first
remember
year.
I used to do like a little
The
salsa when he
little
would
salsa dance,
celebrate.
yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I love
I
everyone.
know. Wait, I'm really glad that we bounced our way into this topic because today we are doing a guestless episode so that we can let our listeners really understand who we are and get to know us. And I have a little bit of a story of NFL fandom because, Dan is a diehard Giants fan, which was great in 2011 when we were dating because they went on to win that Super Bowl against Tom Brady. It was not so great after after that for the rest of our relationship because they've sucked that whole time. And like after Eli left, I just don't think they had good QB talent, but they've tried. So, then we moved to LA and like I'm not really a Rams fan. I feel like I don't like when teams desert their cities. I was like the Chargers do not belong here. I
Mm.
went to college in San Diego and all I saw when I was living there for 5 years was that Chargers lightning bolt on every single car. And I'm like, how are you going to take that team away from San Diego? So I wasn't like, oh yes, we've got football teams now. But what did happen was this. So in I think it was the
Did you
20.
fuck an NFL player? Oh my God.
Can
Just kidding.
you
Just
can
kidding.
you just like not make it apparent that my life isn't as cool as you think it is?
Oh, fuck. Sorry. Okay, okay, okay.
Okay, so you know me and that like my allegiance is not necessarily diehard for a team. And it's usually about connecting with players. Dan's allegiance for the Giants was like so fraught that I was like, I can't be part of this. So I was like finding my way. So that the docuseries Hard Knocks has been something that I really cherished because it's shown me the insides of the game in ways that are really interesting because it's storytelling about players. It was right after the Rams and the Chargers both moved to LA. So Hard Knocks was about both of those teams because it was their first year in LA. And at the time, the quarterback was Jared Goff for the Rams. And that first year that they were in LA with Jared Goff as the quarterback, they made it to the Super Bowl and then they lost. So then I think it was that immediately following year, Jared Goff and Matthew Stafford were traded. So Jared Goff went to the Detroit Lions and Matthew Stafford went to the Rams. And then the Rams won a Super Bowl with Matthew Stafford at the helm. And all I kept hearing was, Matthew Stafford took them to the Super Bowl. They have this ring because of Matthew Stafford. And let me just tell you, for anyone who was watching that season where like it was the best halftime show, but it was not the best Rams performance because
Mm.
even like the game before, I think the game before the Super Bowl was them against the 49ers. And I just feel like the 49ers should have won that game because there were bad calls. There was
Yes.
just a lot of bad luck on the part of the other teams and the refs that were like just favored the Rams. So
Oh,
I
dude,
feel
I
like,
remember this Super Bowl. Fuck yeah.
right? So
Very
I
much.
felt like they had really lucked themselves to that win the whole playoffs. And so everyone's like, "Oh, Matt Stafford." I was like, "I don't know. I just don't I'm glad they won that one because it was the LA Super Bowl, but like I don't know." And so then I was starting to recognize that I felt like, why is everyone giving Matthew Stafford all this credit when Jared Goff also got them to a Super Bowl? So then there was a Hard Knocks on the Detroit Lions now that Jared Goff is there. And guess what? I'm like, let's go fucking Lions. Because
Oh,
they let me give you some stats in case you didn't know about the Lions' success rate up until
like
the
this
last two
year.
seasons. Yeah.
Yeah.
They had won four championship games between 1935 and 1957. And after that one, they didn't win another playoff game until 1991. And they didn't win another one until last year.
Oh man, to be a Lions fan.
To be a Lions fan, but guess what? Jared Goff gets there and they look real good. They're in the playoffs. They have a chance. This year, they're the best in their division. They're arguably the best in the league. And so I get into a little bit of an argument with this is like one of my like sports fan defining moments. I have these two Texan cousins who have been sports fans their whole life, and they are dudes from Texas, Dallas, so they like the Cowboys. Now they live in Houston. They love the Astros, and they just know a lot about sports. And here I am, their little cousin who doesn't know anything, coming in and being like, I totally disagree that Matthew Stafford was the reason why the Rams won anything. I don't think he's better than Jared Goff. Look at what Jared Goff is doing for the Lions. And he was like, he was trying to give me some argument about if you're listening right now, yes, I'm talking shit about you. I think he does listen to our podcast, which is very sweet, but I'm talking shit about him. He's like, oh, you know, Matthew Stafford has like all these things that he does really well. You can't really compare him. And Dan, bless his heart, because he has my back, opens up like the stats and he shows the comparison between Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff is virtually identical in their numbers,
Whoa.
like all of whatever QB stats.
Yes.
And so he's like, they're exactly the same. And my cousin's like, no, you can't really quantify it based on that. And I was like, look, they are so much better. The Detroit Lions are so much better now that they have this guy on their team. Is that a coincidence? Like, yes, they have really good coaching now too, but come on. You have to give him credit where credit's due because he also got the Rams to a Super Bowl. And then there was a game that season, and it was the Lions versus the Rams. And guess who fucking won that game? And then Matthew Stafford, after that, kind of just disappeared a little bit. He had
Yeah, didn't get
injuries
as
and
much.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Whoa. Okay, so wait. I now just knowing the Lions story for like the last 50 fucking years. To me, they have an incredible fan base.
Yeah. Like so, and I think that has a
So
lot to do with
dedicated.
Detroit.
Correct. I think there's a culture around that city. It's made
Yeah.
me want to go to a Lions game in Detroit. You just want to like
Yes.
feel it and know what the
Yes.
vibe is. People show up. People are still cheering year after year after year. So there's something that they're doing well. I don't know if it's like the management or the ownership or whatever, but they're doing something well for the Lions. And to see how much joy the fans have been experiencing in the last couple of seasons, including this season, because of how fucking well they're playing.
Yeah.
It just it makes me want to cheer for them. So like
Yeah.
anytime they're playing, I'm like, you know what? Let's go fucking Lions, dude. Like
Yeah, I'm fully a Lions fan. I like Eminem talks a lot about them. Like we talked about this with the Dodgers that like when they won, they were like we did this for the city of LA and that we don't really hear a lot of teams around the country saying that necessarily, but I feel like for Detroit it is that. And that's what I love about it because it does feel so tied to them and the Detroit identity, which is so cool. So like yeah, like why wouldn't you root for a team like that in a city like that?
that's what I'm saying. That city in particular has had some really fucking shitty times.
I know.
And maybe that's part of why they have such a great committed
Yeah.
fan base. It's like the
They're
thing that
scrappy.
that's
Yeah.
it, unifies
Hmm.
people, like is the source of joy and community and whatever else. Maybe that's part of it. Is you kind of go through shit together and go through the traumas together and it pulls you together. It's not like I see Lions fans this year bragging about anything or their ego getting the best of them. Like they're still like they're being very measured about the
Yeah. Well, they're
celebrations.
not a
They're
shitty fan base like the Eagles.
they're not a whoo
Also, another hot take is Detroit has the best style of pizza
versus any other
versus any other.
city.
Hmm.
Wait, what's Detroit style pizza again?
So it's like square or rectangular, and the
Oh,
crust is like a pan crust. So it's like crispy and crusty on the outside, and the
right.
sauce goes on top.
Right. Right. Oh, I
It's
do love
delicious.
that style.
It's like a greasy, saucy focaccia bread. It's so good.
I mean, you had me at greasy, like
I
done.
know.
I'm
So
into
good.
it. All this football talk, it's big football week in Canada.
Oh, what does
Did you
that
know
mean?
this?
I is there Canadian football?
It is, I'm gonna pretend you didn't say that. Um, our equivalent of the Super Bowl is happening this week. By the time our podcast comes out, it will have just happened.
What?
But it is Grey Cup week, so we call it the Grey Cup. It's our annual championship for the Canadian Football League, the CFL.
The
The
CFL.
CFL. And I want to tell you, the CFL and the NFL have quite a relationship, meaning that a lot of players who don't get drafted in the NFL end up on playing for CFL teams, or CFL teams end up in so many ways, like nurturing and cultivating the skills of some players that they end up then bouncing over to the NFL. So one player I always use
Oh,
an example is Doug Flutie, who was like huge in the NFL. He was actually even bigger in the CFL.
I actually know that name.
Yeah, you probably do. He played for New York. I mean, anyway, all that to say, there are some differences in the game. In the NFL, you're the field is 120 yards. In the CFL, it's 150 yards long. You're probably used to there's 4 downs versus 3 downs in the CFL. So the
Whoa.
pace of the game is different. Yeah, it switches a lot more, like possession switches a lot more because of 3 downs. It's a little bit different than American football, but
Wait, do you like it more? Do you think it's more fun to watch because of that pacing?
I'm going to say yes, I prefer the pace of a CFL game over an NFL game. I
Okay.
think one of the toughest parts about even getting into professional football as a fan is that it can seemingly move slowly.
Yeah.
And I get it. It's like it's a chess game, right? Like you move the men and then they pause and you move them again.
Yeah.
And the amount of breaks is really hard to get into. It's not like hockey or soccer where
Yeah.
the flow is happening.
Well, and I have to shout out, there's this amazing Instagram account called Sports Ball, and they do these like breakdowns, very nerdy, mathy breakdowns of different sports things. And he broke down that in a full, like, what, 3 hour football game, the amount of gameplay, actual gameplay after you take out stoppages and commercials is 8 minutes.
Oh, I believe it. Oh, I believe it. I've heard 11 minutes before as a
Yeah, it could
stat.
be so, yeah, I could
No,
be
but
wrong on the exact number, but yeah.
it's very small.
Yeah.
I mean, think about how much these guys get hit. Like you can't actually
Oh,
have any more
that's true. Yeah.
minutes of collisions. Otherwise, we have like a lot of brain dead individuals,
Yeah.
and I'm not even
Yeah.
exaggerating. Like that really is what would happen.
Yeah.
Um, so the Grey Cup is very much like the Super Bowl in that there's one big game, there's a halftime performance, and the halftime performer for the Grey Cup this year are the Jonas Brothers.
Oh my God. I kind of love that.
Which, like, okay, yeah, I don't know who's like, oh, I don't know where that Venn
They're
diagram of
kind
like
of good.
brother, Jonas brother, and like football fan is, but
It's like the Faith Hill choice. I kind of love them because they're from New Jersey, like my husband, and Nick Jonas is a white Jersey boy who married an Indian person. But they did
oh,
that after Dan and I got married, so I always say that they copied us.
oh my God, is that going to be your next Halloween costume? You guys should go as
We've definitely we could just like show up as ourselves. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I mean, you should do that. But
Wait, I
anyway, that
think they're good though. Like now that they're older, their music has been good. So I kind of like this for you, for y'all in the Grey Cup.
yeah, I mean, people are, how some people watch the Super Bowl only for the halftime show.
Yes, yes.
I'm assuming that's going to happen this year too, where people are don't give a shit about the game, but they really, I don't know, want to see a live Jonas Brothers performance.
Yeah, that's gonna be
I
fun.
don't know. I never really got into them as a band or any of their songs, but I think big get for the CFL actually to get them
Yeah.
as a halftime performer. Sometimes they've had like really, big Canadian bands and Canadian artists as well be the halftime performers,
You mean
but
like Nickelback?
they
Sorry.
have in fact. I'm pretty sure they've been a halftime performer. Hey, they're from Alberta. What the fuck,
Wait,
P?
I don't hate Nickelback. I
A
have
lot
some.
of people hate
I
Nickelback.
know. No, I have appreciation for Nickelback. It's fun to laugh at them, but also
Yeah,
they're not bad.
wait. I'm not like I'm not like gonna, stream their songs at all, but like I don't know where the hate comes from. I really don't.
Yeah. It's just like a funny, like a meme almost to like hate Nickelback once we discovered that all their songs sound the same. But it's like, so do lots of artists.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift.
Oh, shit, P.
I
You
am.
are
I'm
shut up.
going there today.
We cannot lose the Swifties, P. We cannot. We honestly, I hear they come in droves and the hate mail
Yeah.
is fucking terrible. And
Wait, do you think that the Jonas Brothers being the halftime act is going to get eyeballs onto this televised event that wouldn't normally be on it?
I wonder, I truly wonder, like there has to be a bit of a marketing strategy behind who you're getting for the halftime show. The CFL, I think for years, maybe decades, has been trying to get like a bigger American fan base.
Hmm.
It hasn't worked. There's just no way we can compete with the NFL and just the money that lives within the NFL. So in some ways, that's kind of why I like the CFL. Feels like it's like cute, less capitalist
Yeah, it's
version.
like the black sheep of the family.
Right. It's clear these are not NFL players. Like the level of talent
Oh, interesting.
is not the same. The
Okay.
level of money. I mean, honestly, P, I think the average salary for a CFL player is like 100,000, 120,000 a year,
Wow, but the risk is the same
but the
to
risk
them?
is the same. Yep.
Ugh, interesting.
Yeah. So in some ways, people, I would actually say there's more of this like community spirit piece of when you go like tailgating or you go to a game. I went to a game, a BC Lions game this year in Vancouver, and the Grey Cup is in Vancouver, which is also why I'm mentioning because
Oh,
like at this
is
whole
it
week there's just
every
like
year it's there?
no, it's same
Oh.
as the Super Bowl. It travels to a different city.
Oh, so it
Um,
just it's you're just dealing with like the influx right now.
Yeah, and speaking of Swifties, Taylor Swift is ending her Eras tour here in 3 weeks. Like Vancouver is the last stop of all time to ever see
No,
the
on that
show.
whole tour, no way.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so,
Wow,
dude, what's wild is people are renting out their place for the weekend at insane rates because we're getting this
dude.
huge influx of visitors. I'm talking
Yeah.
like people are telling me that I could rent out our place for like 5,000 a night.
A night.
And we have 3 bedrooms. A night.
Oh my God.
Like hotel rates are off the chain. Like just everything is wildly expensive. And so anyway, there's might be a way that I can make money off Taylor Swift. So there's like this vibe in Vancouver. And they're like, yeah, the Jonas Brothers, like a real nice kickoff to some music in the city. And I was like, you can't, Jonas Brothers aren't kicking off Taylor Swift. Let's just relax over here.
Oh, it's like, oh, we're embarking upon a period of exciting musical events in our town. Kicking off, beginning
Kicking
with
off.
the Jonas Brothers.
But then maybe Priyanka will be in town. Dude,
Oh, more Indian girls for you. I
oh my God.
know
I
how
I
much
have a
you love.
love-hate
I know.
relationship with Indian girls.
I know. I have to like let our listeners know that I don't think that you and I are the types of girls who like had or have a lot of Indian girlfriends. And so the fact that you and I became friends like this is like really rare. And I mean, even the Indian girlfriends I do have, I don't have a relationship with them like I do with you.
100%. Like any this is rare. Like this relationship for me
It's
is
not
rare.
normal.
Really not normal. That's how I would describe you. P is not normal, correct? But I think, it's interesting because we talk a lot about getting women into sports or women of color, and Indian women in particular, I wouldn't say have made up much of my friendship circles ever since I was a kid. I
Yeah.
grew up in a majority white neighborhood, majority white schools, majority white friends. Even now, till this day, that's the case. And when I lived in, in the San Francisco Bay Area with its diversity, still then, like, Indian folks were not like making up my friendship circle.
Yeah.
I'd go to San Jose for that shit.
I was gonna say like Bay Area Indian people are also like their own thing.
Their own thing. Okay, wait, can I, because you were trying to spit out some stats my way. There is one stat I sort of became obsessed with this week, and that is I I was in the shower one day, P, and I was thinking about the WNBA finals, and everyone keeps saying great, it broke viewership records. And I'm honestly, in my mind, I was like, yeah, but who was watching? If we're breaking records, who was watching? Over 2 million people. And I shouldn't be surprised by this, but according to ESPN anyway, men were still close to 60% of the viewers.
Wow.
And actually have been in general for WNBA, like have been the majority of viewers.
Wow. So like sports fans gonna sport.
I mean, I was both like impressed and like, was like very cool, but also, well, shit,
Like
ladies,
where the women?
fuck,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, totally.
Like if we're really gonna, blow some records here, can maybe that be the one of like
Why
female
do you think
fans?
that's just like the culture of who consumes sports, especially in this country?
I think culture is the key word here, Pete. I still think even though it's the WNBA or it's women athletes, I think we still haven't shaken off the culture of sports, the aggressive culture,
Yeah,
the more
yeah.
masculine flavor of it,
Or even
loud.
just like the esoteric nature of it, right? Like that it doesn't belong to everyone, or like you need some sort of specialized knowledge in order to enjoy it or access it. And you can't just like people aren't maybe freeing themselves up to find their own pathways into being interested in sports.
Correct. So then I was like, oh, wait, if the viewership for women isn't as high as we want it to, maybe it's because we're not finding ourselves in spaces where we can gather and watch sports and feel like we can show up like ourselves, not know all the stats, not hear derogatory words being thrown around, just feeling a little safer, a little more us.
Or like be casual fans. Yeah.
Correct. Yes. And not feeling as comfortable sometimes in some sports bars.
Yeah.
So that's of course where my research continues to take me, which is reading about the rise of women's sports bars. There's one in Portland. You've probably heard of
Is
it.
this the sports
The
bra
sports
one?
bra. Yes.
Well, you know I
Oh,
love a sports bra. I think that's like the best name ever.
ever. So fucking clever. I honestly
Yeah.
wish that I want to go visit. I really, really do. Portland's like maybe
Yeah.
not my favorite city, but I would go for the
You
sports bra.
know, I liked it when I went. There's enough food to keep me interested.
That's
Also,
fair.
did you know they have the most strip clubs per capita?
Do I? I have frequented the strip clubs in
Did you go to the
Portland.
vegan one?
I don't know if I went to the vegan one, but I remember meeting these two women named Colorado and Alaska. Definitely not their
Amazing.
names. That's
Great.
just what I
Yes.
remember their names being. We actually went to Portland for, they used to have a comedy festival there called the Bridgetown Comedy Festival. I,
Oh.
I don't know if it's still happening there, and that was when shenanigans happened. But before I share too much on our podcast, let me tell you another reason why I want to visit the sports bra. They serve drinks from female run breweries and distilleries. They have I don't want to hear the fucking hairs, but they have like gluten-free, dairy-free, vegan options. Listen, pub fairs, like pub fair menus, you
It's
don't
hard.
see those options.
No,
Yeah,
it's hard. And it's like it's a lucrative choice for any food establishment.
correct. And then finally, because I have to, because I'm a mom, they also include a kids menu, which is like, okay, fuck,
Yeah.
it's true. Women are most likely to,
Bring their kids
bring
to
their
the
kids and be watching
wow.
their kids. So I get it. But how dope to be like, okay, I've got my kid, but we can still watch these multiple screens
Yeah.
and check out these sports. And it really made me think about, okay, again, thinking about how do we build up this fan base? It's creating spaces like this that you feel are
Mm-hmm.
designed for you.
Mm-hmm.
And if every city could have its version of a sports bra, like really think about what that might do for sports.
I would be so interested to see what it feels like to be in there because I often feel like men's sports fans are loud. And if we kind of like eliminate the kind of normalized behavior around sports fandom, I wonder how women just behave and react around their own enthusiasm, right? Like,
Book you wrote, yeah, we're
yeah,
not.
do we take on the same shit or is it different? I'd be really interested to see. I think it's amazing that you brought this up too, because there's been in the WNBA since the playoffs all kinds of turnover of the coaches. And I was like, just seeing like headline after headline, this coach fired, and then this person hired to this team. And I was like, what is going on? So I looked into it a little bit, and all of that is for the sake of doing exactly what you're talking about, I think. So they've recognized now that this is a moneymaker. And they do need to
Mm.
treat this like maybe the NBA in terms of how seriously they take their decisions. Now teams are going to be incentivized to win in maybe ways that they didn't feel that way before. And so coaching becomes now a huge part of that. And so the turnover and the firing of the coaches is actually an indication that the league is starting to take this much more seriously as a business.
Whoa. Now, is
Yeah.
that good or bad?
I mean, right, we don't want it to turn into like your conventional, like, whatever, money at all costs kinds of organizations that's prone to corruption, but I don't know. I don't know the realities of what the coaching was, but I think what this means is that like this is kind of like a pre WNBA period and like a post this Renaissance period. And in the post period, they are like, well, we actually need to start being very intentional about some of the decisions we're making because this actually is meaningful in a way it hasn't been before.
I think that makes a ton of sense. When you think about, like you're saying, sort of like pre rise WNBA and now, what's required of a coach is it's got to be different.
Yeah.
Not just of course skill development, but and mentoring, but think about it. There's media opportunities are
Mm-hmm.
probably tenfold. And
Right.
if you have like a Brianna Stewart or Caitlin Clark on your team, you've got to learn how do we work with these athletes who have so much pressure where there is a spotlight on them. That takes a particular type of coach to be able to work with an
Yeah.
athlete like that. So it actually makes
Right.
sense.
Like more forward facing training versus just like the skills stuff. And the other thing I read that's super interesting is that there's a radar out there for really exciting emerging talent. And so, there's all this stuff that Ash was telling us about the collective bargaining agreement that also impacts this, right? Because the players opted out of that union, that is also going to make the coaching more important because you want to attract the good talent on your team. You want to make sure that talent gets developed into these like star quality athletes that are going to bring the butts to the seats and the eyeballs to the screen. So now I can see how maybe there's like the synergy
Mm.
feel around the organization of these teams that maybe wasn't there before like this big resurgence.
I, P, I think you're right when you sort of said it's more business management now. Really, it's branding, right?
Yeah.
Coaches are
Yeah.
part of your brand, part of what you sell. When I think about, Steve Kerr as the Warriors head coach, like he sort of stands on his own as part of their
Yeah.
brand.
Right.
And he's writing books and people are buying his books and that all brings more fans and more interest to the Warriors. And so it makes sense that now the coach is a little bit more like your lead singer
Exactly.
coach,
Like
right?
we know the names of NHL and NFL coaches. We just do.
Yeah, like everyone knows the lead singer. Like that Gwen Stefani was the lead singer of
I
No
was thinking
Doubt.
Gwen Stefani. Why are you thinking? Oh my God, we thought the same thing. But yeah, exactly right.
And
Right.
can you name anyone else from No Doubt? I
I
mean, I
mean,
can because of Tony Canal, but
yeah, exactly. I was
I'm
like
like,
Tony Kanal.
There was a brown dude on
The
No Doubt.
Indian
Of
guy?
course, we know his
Yeah.
name because we were like, I'm sorry, what? There's a brown dude playing this
He's
music?
amazing.
He's amazing. Yes. And also, yeah. What,
He's
anyway.
no, I know what you were gonna say, and you're right, because I saw them at Coachella this past April, and I was like, fuck, dude, this guy looks so good.
God.
And he's like a 50-something-year-old dad.
Listen, that's my vibe these days, P. Okay, let me just tell you. Like, give me that vibe. I am so, so into it.
B, what are you currently obsessed with?
Can it still be Mariah?
Of course. Who do you think you're asking?
No, it
But that
actually,
surprises me about you. I didn't know you to be much of a Mariah stan because you're such a Janet stan, right? And I feel
I
like they were a little in
am.
competition.
They're just so different, right?
They
Like,
are
one
really
is
different.
really
Yeah.
about vocals, the other, I would say, is much more choreo.
Dance. Yeah.
So, to me, in my mind, I never went to them for the same thing.
Yeah.
They were so different. Mariah, the first boy I ever cheated on was because of a Mariah Carey song. I'm gonna blame her.
Which song?
My All.
Okay, I'm so glad you mentioned that song because I just saw a video about how My All is about Derek Jeter.
Oh my gosh, I think I knew this.
Right? Because you remember they like briefly dated right around the time she was divorcing Tommy Mottola, and apparently that song is about like the one of the one nights they had, and that she credits him with like being able to support her through
That's
doing
it.
that
That's how I
divorce.
know about it because I think she wrote about it maybe, and talked about how Derek Jeter helped her get over this like
Yeah,
traumatic.
it's in her book, her memoir.
There we go. That must be why I know it.
Yeah.
So I was like,
Which is like an interesting departure for like fruit basket guy that we know Derek
oh
Jeter
my
to be.
Derek Jeter, sports intersection.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so it was grade nine grad, and I was like dating a boy, my first boyfriend ever, but I really had eyes for this other guy for like the last 3 years. And he was going to a different high school, so it was our chance to say like goodbye to each other.
Oh man.
And Mariah Carey My All came on, and he was like, V, like, can we dance? And I was like, yeah, we can. And we 100% kissed on the dance floor. And my boyfriend was like 2 meters away at our table. What a
Meters.
fucked mood. Meters. It was a fucked
Wait, did
mood.
and he saw it?
He didn't see it, but I think he found out about it. Like, I actually think if he's listening, I still apologize because
Oh.
I'm not even kidding. When Facebook became a thing, when you still needed like your college email address to
Yeah,
sign
yeah.
up,
Hmm.
I like found him and DM'd him and apologized for it.
And
And
was
that
he like,
and that was
fuck
like
you, or was he like,
years
cool?
later. Oh no, he was like, fuck you.
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
yeah. He was like still very upset by
Like
it. And I
6 years later.
think I like it part of his development, I think I really fucked it up. And
Oh,
I
well, you
know.
know what? Everyone needs to have one of those,
I mean,
so.
I guess so. I just hate that it was me. Get it? Like, fuck. But the reason why I'll mention the reason why I'm obsessed with Mariah and why it came up this week versus last week. So Jason Kelsey has a holiday album, and
Oh,
apparently it's something he has done before. And he has a song out right now with Stevie Nicks, and it's the number one holiday song on like the iTunes chart. And people were
what?
like, is this beating out Mariah Carey? What's going on? I know, P, your face, y'all, if you're just listening to us but not watching the video, the face right now, it was my face. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it's still early in the season and people haven't quite like bopped to the Mariah Jam just yet. But yo, that's the number one holiday song right now.
Whoa. So wait, you're saying that is this an old album or he does an album every year, a new
Yeah,
one?
yeah, uh-huh. That's what I have come to learn. And I just want you to know, I have seen video before of Jason Kelsey singing,
Is he
and
good?
it's fucking terrible. Like, that's why I did listen to this song earlier today because I was like, I need to understand
Yeah.
what this is all about. And it
Stevie
just,
Nicks on a Christmas
yeah,
song?
but Stevie Nicks is just gonna keep herself relevant and do what she needs to do, even
It's
if it
true.
means partnering up with Jason Kelsey. But it just
Or
sounds like a
voting for
lot
the
of
first time in her life, apparently.
Do whatever gets you in the headlines, girlfriend. Like, I'm not here to judge, whatever. But it just sounds like, production's a real thing. Auto tune, not like T-Pain auto tune, but like auto tune is a real thing that helps with the voice. And I just have to, like, that's what it feels like to me when I heard that song.
Okay. It was like nothing to write home about, but perhaps Jason Kelsey is on a little bit of a personality hot streak. And so is Stevie Nicks in terms of like being visible, and they rode their popularity wave ahead of Mariah
Yes.
for this week.
I'm hoping it's just this week. Like, y'all, please just go give Mariah some streams now that she needs it. Her fucking
She
8.5
doesn't need
million or
it,
whatever.
and she will always be the queen of Christmas, but I just am flabbergasted that that is even possible for another Christmas song.
Okay, so to be fair, the proceeds from the sales go to support, I think like a children's crisis treatment center at the Children's Hospital in Philly.
Oh, that's nice.
So
Chop.
we love to hear that. But Pete, on this album, speaking of Mariah, another guest star on the record is it's a Philly album.
No, no, no. Don't tell me it's Boys to Men.
ABC DVD.
No!
Yeah!
On Travis Kelce's Christmas album? I mean, Jason's. Sorry, Jason.
Yeah. On Jason's. It's his album's called A Philly Special Christmas Party. And so it makes sense.
Okay.
I'm trying to get, like who else represents Philly better?
Yeah. Especially Christmas music. He's like
Christmas
kind of
music.
co-opting something that was going on though in the 90s with R&B artists and their Christmas love.
Those R&B Christmas albums. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Anyway, I could go off on that.
Yeah.
But okay, great. The proceeds go to charity, so I felt less terrible about all of it. So I'm telling you, like the Mariah Carey obsession, there are 100 stories behind this song. And I feel like every week now I'm just gonna have to give you a new story about.
I love it. So your Mariah obsession this week is like a solidarity obsession.
Yeah.
It's like,
Slash like,
no.
ooh, a little bit of like, I still remember the guy that I cheated. Oh, like it still hurts a little bit.
Like it stings.
Yeah, like fuck. That's like not a great Mariah memory, but everything else. My first talent show dance performance. Mariah Carey, Always Be My Baby. Like she's just
Oh my
got a
God.
lot of associations of firsts with her. That's all
Mm.
I will say. And mostly it's positive.
I love that.
Yeah.
I mean Mariah was very formative for me too in like my vocals, in my vocabulary, in my just like understanding of music in general. She's probably the one who introduced me to R&B artists that weren't like the LA artists of the time because she
Right.
was always featuring these new guys.
Yeah. I mean, I probably wouldn't like even know who Luther Vandross was if I didn't listen.
Luther
You
Vandross.
know what I mean? Like because
Yeah,
she did all these duets. She also did hip hop
yeah,
duet. Like all of that
yeah,
was
like ODB and stuff. Yeah,
and which he credited like launching so much of his solo
yeah.
career with
Also, the beginning of Jay-Z on, was it the Heartbreaker
Heartbreaker.
remix?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
You got it. Okay, that's me and my obsession P.
Love, love, love. I'm here
What
for
are
all of
you
that.
obsessed with?
Okay, this one's a little fraught, but it has to do with food, kind of.
Oh, here we go. P. Here we fuck.
Dan and I are obsessed with Jersey Mike's sandwiches. I like crave them. I've been having like appetite issues, but like all I want is a Jersey Mike's sandwich because there's just something about the way they make it, the vinegar, the bread. So like we've just like fully been leaning into like our Jersey Mike's love. But last year we discovered that Jersey Mike's on the app gives you, they have an NHL like pick'em game essentially.
Oh,
So
you once
every
texted me a screenshot of
I
this.
was like, Vanita, do you have Jersey Mike's in Canada? Because I need you to do this with me because it's so frustrating. You have to pick either all the games of the day if there are fewer than four, or you have to pick four winning games. And
Okay.
this season, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but the NHL teams have been all the fuck over the place.
Like so many surprise storylines
So
coming out.
many.
Yes.
Yes, and like Winnipeg is like my pick now for Stanley Cup, I guess, but
Oh, shit. Okay. Yeah, because they're just crushing
because
it.
they're crushing it. But then
Yeah.
like so you have to like pick them, and I get so frustrated when I don't win. And it's always like the Islanders and the Devils games that fuck me because it always goes the opposite way. And then usually like Pittsburgh and Philly too. And so now my list of like teams that I can't rely on are getting longer because it's just getting so complicated. But so you're playing for like a chance to go to the Stanley Cup, but every day that you make your picks, you get 2 shore points. And when you have like, I think when you have like 72 shore points, you get like a full ass size free sandwich.
I
So
mean, this is like a
just,
win-win
I know.
situation.
So I just have to like be like remind myself that I'm picking for the sandwiches. I'm not picking for the wins because the wins are getting so frustrating.
Is
And
it
we're getting
two tickets to the
it's
Stanley
two
Cup?
tickets, yeah. And but like we are getting too intense about picking the right results, and we just need to be happy about the sandwiches.
Listen, that red wine vinegar, olive
Yeah.
oil
Yes.
combination.
Banana peppers we always add. A little
Are you like are
acid.
you a cold sandwiched girl or are you like a grilled hot
Yeah. No,
sandwich?
I used to be a hot sandwich person, but I've really been appreciating the cold. Yeah.
I
I
get
don't like
that.
chicken. I think chicken is sad, and usually those like sandwiches at those chains are like this warm chicken sandwich, and I'm like, that doesn't sound good to me at all.
Wait, so what's your protein then?
Well, we do the Italian, so it's the
Mm,
salami and the
mm.
provolone, all the different meats.
The reason why I asked you if it's two tickets to the Stanley Cup, P,
Yeah, yeah.
is because if you won two tickets to the Stanley Cup, P, who are you taking? Actually, just want to
Okay.
know.
Okay. If I won the contest,
Yeah, just you. Your name is on it. Your name is the winner.
look, I sort of feel like Dan has this coming because in 2011, when
Y'all,
he
do you
got me in,
notice her voice got lower? She's like, I'm
yeah,
whispering. I don't want to get in
he's
trouble.
not here, but I'm still whispering. So in 2011, when he turned me into an NFL fan and got me all invested in the Giants, I was buying all the like Victoria's Secret like Giants gear. Do you remember that
Oh,
shit? Like the football
yes.
team shit.
Oh, you cute
I
girl.
was just like being cute and like, yay, Giants, and like cute little whatever. And he, at the end of the season, when they were in the Super Bowl, had the opportunity to go. And we had planned a Super Bowl party. I was getting so excited. It was like my first real Super Bowl party that I was like there for the football. And he's like, I'm going to the Super Bowl without you, with someone else. So he and his friend drive to Indianapolis.
Who is this friend?
It's one of his like high school childhood friends who's also a huge Giants fan.
Okay.
And they had like Dan, one of Dan's friends like worked for like Pepsi or something, and so had like a
Oh,
room because of all the Pepsi shit. And so it just lined up that he was able to like make this happen. And
okay.
I was like,
Okay.
on the one hand, happy for him, and on the other hand, going through this roller coaster, watching that game by myself and being like, I hope they fucking lose. And then being like, no, that would actually be bad for me too, because then he would just be
Is
in
to
a
come
shitty mood.
home.
Yeah.
There you are sitting on the couch, like ripping your Giants thong. Like, fuck
Yeah,
that.
I like
I
exactly.
spent money on.
I like ordered Thai food, and then when that Hail Mary was dropped by Gronk, I like jumped up out of my just out, and
That
I
was
was like, "Oh, thank
incredible.
God." Yeah, so I kind of feel like because of that being such a big history moment in our relationship that I could take you, V.
This is being
You're
recorded.
Canadian.
This is being
Yeah.
published. You know
You're
this.
you're a big NHL fan. You're like Dan's friend who he took to the Giants.
I just want
So,
to clarify the lawyer in me. I'm not a lawyer, but the language you used was I could take you, B.
oh, I will take
We
you,
just
V.
okay, great,
Yeah,
great, great.
yeah.
No, thank you. I
Verbally
just
binding contract.
I'm really appreciating this 2011 trauma now because actually
Yeah.
it's a benefit, possibly.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna really encourage this Jersey Mike's obsession then as a
I have to
result.
start doing better. I have to start like getting on top. I might start asking you for picks when I
Do
don't know
it.
what the fuck.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, because then if you win, it's not really just you and like Dan
It
can't
is,
feel
you did it
bad.
with
We'd
me.
be
Okay,
like,
no, no, no. This is good. Yeah, we're gonna do it together.
Heather.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Why didn't we think of this before?
Yes, screenshot that shit. Tell me,
I
like,
will.
send it to
Yeah. I'll
me.
send it to you
But
every
also send
morning.
me your sandwich order because I also want to know what's in there too.
Just a picture of me eating it.